Hello everybody, today we're going to talk about Starfield's planets and exploration. I've done a few videos on this before based on the limited information we had last year. I'm going to continue that now with basically the information we got from Starfield Direct, which is displaying right here. Now, the thing to remember is Bethesda have always created their worlds in tiles. You know, one in the middle, one top, one bottom, all the way around. And as you approach the one up front, the next tile is loaded. Then the next tile. And if you turn that way, it's that tile. That's why you get the popping effect in older games. You don't get it in Skyrim because their game engine was improved and it did away with that. But basically that is how it works. And if you think about the game engine in terms of slow, gradual improvements, you look at Oblivion and the pop-in effect, and then the fact it disappeared in Skyrim, you can see how Bethesda have improved their game engine each step of the way, which is an argument a lot of people put forward when they're saying, why don't they go with Unreal, why don't they go with this, why don't they go with that? They don't take into account the slow improvements to the engine over the years that allow the engine to do everything we see it doing next to me right now. Because these other engines aren't designed to do this. They're designed to do their own thing. And Bethesda's engine is designed to deliver us the Elder Scrolls, Fallout and now Starfield. Now, one of the major changes in the Starfield game is they can do this in-game now. It's not re-rendered beforehand. Well, it might be to a degree, but it's not rendered beforehand. You approach a planet, it creates a planet as you approach it. So when you land on the planet, it creates all the things on the planet at that point. Now, on Oblivion, if you walked into, say, the Kvatch area, all the creatures around it and their tiles around it would spawn at that point. One error in a level list would cause a crash as you entered that tile, because it would load a bad level list and it'd crash. Now, this is the danger we have with Starfield if they're doing it on the fly. One error and just entering a Starfield will cause a crash. That is the problem what we're going to see with overhauls, where people haven't tested the overhaul out properly, because in the past we've had some pretty dismal overhauls. I mean, let's face it, right? When you've got to go through reams and reams of documentation just to get the thing to work, you know there's something wrong. There's nothing good about that. They should be install and go. And every overhaul's had its problems so far, even mine. But mine actually had the level list checked out so thoroughly, it cured a lot of other people's problems, overhaul problems. So my issues were different, but they were still there. But anyhow, the point is, these level lists that spawn things will now be spawning bases, now be spawning settlements and things like that, and factions and whatever. So when you enter a system and it starts deciding what's on that planet, then that's the point where you might see a crash, where you might see a problem. Now, the level list thing's a great idea, and expanding it into this area means it's not really a level list anymore, it's a spawn list, which is all a level list ever was, really. It was a spawn list. You open a crate, it reads the level list and spawns the items in the crate. That's how it works. They're just doing it on a planetary scale now. They've taken the technology one step forward. And the fact that we can do that speaks volumes for the technology we're using. I mean, I dare say if you tried running Starfield on an older computer, you might have difficulties, because this technology here is probably going to be more demanding in terms of CPU than the older games were. But if you look back at Oblivion's scripting language was a loop. It just kept going on in a constant loop like that. When they did that with Skyrim, they had problems, so they restricted it to a run once type system, like an objects orientated code, where you'd run it and use functions and stuff like that. I don't expect you to understand it, but basically you want to know something, you call a function, the function says yes, this is how you do that, right? And then it shuts down. That's how it works, right? So it only uses CPU time when you actually did something. Now, this is how Bethesda have optimised their game over the years. And I know there's a lot of people saying, oh, they don't optimise their games, but they do. So anyhow, Starfield, you enter the system, it spawns the items on the planet. That's a new feature. Well, it's not new, it's an old feature developed to work more on a planetary scale, which is cool. It's a good improvement. It should not be underestimated in the slightest, because that kind of change means other systems can be now modded into the game without touching the planet. You don't even have to know what's on the planet when you're making your mods. It also makes the mods a little bit less reliable because they're going to be editing global things, which in my opinion is not a good idea, but overhauls work that way. If you don't use an overhaul, you've got no problem. If you do use an overhaul, you've just got to accept it, because overhauls can't work another way. When I did my overhauls, I had to edit the minimum number of level lists that I could. I left the rest, so anything using the rest wouldn't be a problem. I think he got it down to about seven what I would call dirty edits, but what other people would call dirty edits. So anything in somebody else's mod, never in what's in theirs. If you look at theirs, there's lots of dirty edits, trust me. So it's dirty edits is just a troll word, but I'm applying it to myself here because people understand it. Now, on the planet where you're spawning things differently, and I do this joke, it's a dirty planet, it's a bug planet. This is what I mean. You could edit a level list to insert your own level list. It's right at the very top of the hierarchy, where it starts off with, is this a planet? And then all the level lists are according to the planet. And you pick one of these spawn lists. Now pick one of these that comes off of this and pick one of these for plants. You could edit and put your own in and just create literally a bug planet and just completely make a theme out of it. I dare say it should be possible as well to expand the universe in expansions and add alien races and things. And I suspect that the way these level lists are worked out, that will be an easy thing for Bethesda to do later on. I would fully expect that if they went down that road and they think, well, you've done the main plot, you found out these alien artifacts alien, the aliens are just around the corner the whole time watching you, and now you know they exist, they're coming for you. You've got a whole new branch, haven't you? A whole new thing. I mean, they could do the aliens in the form of the Daedra. They're the bad guys, It probably wouldn't be very realistic, but they could do that, make it a bit more entertaining. But they would just insert them into the level list, and a planet could be spawned from an independent tree. The alien life tree, is it an alien planet? Yes, choose all the alien life and alien foliage and alien bases and ignore all the human stuff. It would be very, very easy to do. You could literally leap onto that hierarchy from the very beginning and just follow the alien path all the way down. When you get to the planet, instant alien planet. Instant. It'd be very easy. If you've got the resources, as in the game, the aliens, the alien buildings, the alien life, it's easy. It is easy. It's the kind of thing you see in expansion or a big mod. Something like Sky Oblivion, that sort of team could do it easily, so wouldn't require any quests either. Also, the spawned stuff, like if you spawn in bases, the base can be spawned and then it can choose the faction that's inhabiting it. So you wouldn't have to actually know the faction on the planet beforehand. You would get to the planet and then go, yeah, we're going to have some religious zealots on the planet this time. Next time you play, it's going to be some pirates. And next time you play after that, it's going to be some settlers. And time after that, it's going to be some miners. And it could change every single game. And that's the beauty about this kind of system. When you play the game a second, third and fourth time, those planets will be different. And therefore the game will be different. So I think we're heading down a good road here where if we play our cards right, and if Bethesda play their cards right, we could be looking at a game with more replay value than any previous game Bethesda have ever released. So it's a good thing. All of this planetary systems and exploration and what goes along with it is, in my opinion, one of the biggest leaps forward, even though it technically is old technology rehashed and reworked. But that's how their engine gets updated. They rework old technology to make it work better. So you go from items popping in Oblivion to not popping in Skyrim, and now real-time generation of landscapes as you approach. But like I said, just remember, the second you enter the system, that's when it starts loading the planet data and the tiles in. Enter the planet, that's when it starts loading in the items on the planet. Any error in those level lists will cause a crash, and because it's random, because these planets are randomly generated, it could happen anywhere where a randomly generated planet exists. It isn't going to be predictable. So if you get random crashes when the game comes out as you enter a system, you've got a very good chance there's an error in one of those level lists. That's how you know when it's a level. It's a random spawn as you enter. You go back, it might never happen again. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I think you'll agree that this is actually quite a good time for us when it comes to Starfield and stuff, because we know more information now and we can see where the game's going. And what I've mentioned, when combined with other game features, opens the door to quite a lot of cool gameplay. See you in the next one.